Today we are going to be learning comprehension. We are going to be learning what? Comprehension. Comprehension is a very important aspect of English language in JAMB examination. You are always going to write what? Questions from where? Comprehension. Is that clear? You are always going to write questions on comprehension. Every JAMB question. So you have to pay very good attention. So what is comprehension? Comprehension is the ability to understand something. You understand? The ability to do what? Understand. That word comprehend means to do what? Understand. Comprehend. Can you comprehend what I'm saying? You understand? Comprehension simply means understanding. So when you are given a comprehension passage in JAMB, what are they expecting you to do? They are expecting you to read and do what? Understand. Read and do what? Understand. So that you can be able to answer the what? Following questions. Is that not clear? That is what comprehension passages are expected to be, for you to do in JAMB exam. So comprehension is the what? Ability to understand something. It is the understanding and interpretation of what is read. The understanding and what? Interpretation of what is read. You've already read it, isn't it? Now you need to do what? Understand and do what? Interpret. You understand? When you are answering the question, it is expected that you already understood the questions. Then you are able to interpret. Sources of comprehension passages. Where can we get some comprehension passages? Where and where can we get comprehension passages? We have two types of sources. You understand? Then we have what we call original and what? Adaptation. Original and what? Adaptation. Whenever a comprehension passage is written by the examiner based on an event that has taken place or an event that he has witnessed, you understand? Or when he's talking about religion, he's talking about something, an economic situation. Maybe he's talking about the falling rate of Nigerian naira to the dollar. You know that it is something that is happening and somebody is writing about it. We say that that source is what? Original, because you're writing from your head, from your experience, from what you're understanding. Is that clear? Such source is what? Original. When comprehension passage is specifically written by a good user of what? English language, somebody that knows English for the purpose of what? Examination. It could be about his experience, an event, a situation which could be economic or political situation of the country. You understand? Somebody could be writing about the recent election or about Muhammad Buhari's dispensation. You understand? You're writing from your head. How you understand it? It is what? Original. Is that clear? His ideas are not what? Restricted. He can write about different things. But when the comprehension is about what has been written in a novel or in another person's book or in a textbook, when you go and lift something, when you go and call from another book or another material or article that has been written by another person, then we say that such source is what? Adaptation. That such source is what? Adaptation. Is that clear? And this adaptation could be what? Partial or what? Complete. It could be a partial adaptation or complete adaptation. When you write the whole of somebody's article and put it in an examination passage of comprehension, you're doing what? Complete adaptation. But when you go to a novel or you go to an article written by somebody and you just cut half of it or some part of it, then you're doing what we call what? Partial adaptation. Is that clear? Is that clear? Now we look at how to read a comprehension. How can you read a comprehension? Do you go and read comprehension the way you're reading your notebook slowly and order? Is that the way you read comprehension? For you to maximize your time in JAMB hall, how do you read to maximize your time? Number one, you can use a method known as what? Skimming. Known as what? Skimming. What is skimming? Skimming is quickly looking for the main ideas of a word passage. And I gave you an example the last time that skimming is when you get a newspaper. You know what newspaper is? Yes, sir. You just go through it. You're looking for the main thing you want to read. You understand? You just look through. You're skimming through the what? Newspaper. Is that clear? You can just skim through. Like now, you see a heading written Nigeria versus Brazil, friendly match. You understand? When you skim through that passage, what will you be looking at? You will be looking at the date for the match, isn't it? The date Nigeria will be playing what? Brazil. You will not go and read in details. You just go to, hey, let me just get the date. Hey, this is an interesting match. Let me know the date. You understand? You go for the main idea. the main point, the date, when is the match taking place, that's what you go to. You understand? And if you're staying in cities like Abuja and Port Harcourt, you also be going for the venue, isn't it? Because you know it's likely that they will play the match in Abuja, Port Harcourt or Kano. You understand? But if you're staying in a place like Ekiti, you might not bother about the venue because you will know that definitely you watch it on the telly, isn't it? So you skim for the main ideas. Skimming is quickly looking for the main ideas of a passage. The reader gets a general but not detailed feel of the passage. You understand? When you skim, you don't get the detailed. You get the general. Example is skimming through a newspaper. Another way of reading is scanning. Scanning is reading fast at the same time, getting full meaning of the word passage. You understand? Scanning is slower than skimming because here you try to get a little bit detailed feel of what you want. This is more detailed. It is more detailed than what skimming. And we're going to use this procedure in reading the passage that we're going to go through. Now we'll look at the theories to simplify difficult comprehension questions. When you see difficult comprehension questions, how do you go about what approach do you use towards them so that you can understand what you're doing, so that you can get the right question? You understand? And there are these three theories that have been developed to help us solve difficult comprehension questions. Number one is what we call the chemistry theory. Number two is the psychoanalytic theory. And number three is the what? Cause and effect theory. Three of them: chemistry theory, psychoanalytic theory, and what? Cause and effect what? Theory. And in the course of our lectures, we dwell in detail on what? Chemistry theory, isn't it? We say that these other two theories have little deficiencies. So that's why we are using the word chemistry theory. That's why we are using the word chemistry theory. And what is chemistry theory? We say that the chemistry theory is analogous to the normal chemistry course that we do, you understand? Which is the study of what? Elements. Study of elements. Watching them, the way the elements behave. So in learning chemistry theory, we learn the elements of a passage. The what? Elements of a passage. And we say that the elements of a passage are what, and what? The subject matter. You understand? The subject matter is the main story. The main story that the passage is telling us about. Number two, the theme. The theme is the second element of a passage. What is theme? Theme is the what? The lesson, the passage is teaching us. And number three is what we call the lexical items, which are the words, the difficult words. Is that clear? The words that you see when you're reading a passage, you normally encounter some difficult words, is it not? Then number three is what we call the extra grammatical structure, extra grammatical items. Number three element of a passage is what? Extra grammatical what? Items, which are things like phrasal verbs, idiomatic expressions, and what? Figures of speech. Is that not what we said? Including provals. So we need to identify these things. When we identify them, it will throw more light on how to tackle comprehension passages. Is that clear? Yeah. So in the next class, we are going to learn in details chemistry theory. Is that clear? Thank you. Yes, welcome. Today we are going to be learning about the chemistry theory, an approach to simplifying difficult comprehension passages. An approach to do what? Simplifying what? Difficult comprehension what? Passages. In our previous class, we learned about what comprehension is all about, and we said that comprehension simply means the ability to do what? Understand a passage that you've read. Your ability to understand it in order to interpret it by what? Answering the following what? Questions, isn't it? Then we went on to learn about the ways through which you can get a comprehension passage. We said there are two sources, isn't it? You have the original source, when you write from your experience or from what is happening. Original source. Then the second source is what we call what? Adaptation. When you write from what somebody has written before, isn't it? Or from a textbook, that is adaptation. And this adaptation could be what? Full or what? Partial. If you copy some, then you talk about partial. If you take the full, talk about what? Full. Then we looked at ways of reading comprehension. Ways of reading comprehension. We said the first one, we talked about skimming. When you read very fast without paying attention to detail, we call it what? Skimming. Then when you read fast but at the same time paying attention to detail, we call it what? Scanning. Isn't it? Then we now went on to learn about the theories used in simplifying difficult comprehension passages, isn't it? And we say there are 3 theories. The chemistry theory, number 1, the psychoanalytic theory, number 2, and the what? Cause and effect theory. Today we are going to be learning about the first one, which is the what? Chemistry theory. Which is the what? Chemistry theory. As the name implies, chemistry theory uses the same principle as what? Chemistry. You know chemistry as a subject which studies what? Elements, the behaviors of elements. Isn't it? So in chemistry theory, we see comprehension passage as what? Chemistry. And we study the elements of the what? Comprehension passage. And we say that there are different elements of comprehension passage. The different elements in chemistry are things like what? Potassium, sodium, chlorine, is it not? There are elements in chemistry. But in comprehension passage, under chemistry theory, we have the elements in comprehension passage to be what? The subject matter, theme, lexical items, and what? Extra grammatical items. Those are the elements of a comprehension passage. Is that clear? The elements of every comprehension passage that you see in JAMB or in any examination are what? Subject matter 1, theme 2, lexical items 3, and what? Extra grammatical structure. We say that subject matter is what? Is what the passage discusses or the story being told in the passage. The subject matter is the what? The story, the main idea, the subject matter, the story the passage discusses, the story the passage tells. That is the what? Subject matter. Then what is the theme of a passage? Any passage. The theme is what? The main lesson which the subject matter teaches. You understand? The lesson you learn from that passage. That's the theme. And we say that the lexical items are the words. When you are reading a passage, there are some words that are difficult. You understand? They could be registers, words from medical line. When do you hear diagnosis in medicine? What does it mean? What does diagnosis mean in medicine? It means test. Instead of saying go and do test, you say go and do what? Diagnosis. You want to diagnose the problem you are having. You understand? That is the lexical word. It is a register for medical people. When you say the appellant or affidavit, which people use such word? Affidavit. The defense suing, which people use such word? The judiciary, people in the law court. You understand? When you hear magistrate court, magistrate, all those things are registered. They are lexical items from that field. Is that clear? So you should be able to identify such when you are reading a passage. You should also be able to identify the difficult words in a passage. It will help you to answer such questions. Then another thing is what we call extra grammatical items. Things like idiomatic expressions, phrasal verbs, figures of speech, proverbs. They are used in passages, is it not? So you need to understand them. Once you're able to pick out these elements, it will help you to understand the passage very well so that you can now answer very well. And that leads us to what we call procedure for handling comprehension in examination. What are the procedures that you have to adopt in order for you to answer questions and get them correctly? Is that clear? Number 1 in the procedure is what we call read all the questions under the passage. Read questions. You understand? When you get to the comprehension passage, quickly read through the questions. Now, after having read the questions, read the passage for the first time, identifying the elements. And what would we say is the elements of a passage? We say the elements are what? Subject matter, theme, difficult words, extra grammatical word, items. So when you are reading that passage, make sure you are identifying these things. You understand? So having identified them, read the questions again. Is that clear? Having read the passage and identified all the elements, read the questions again. You see that when you read the question, you will be able to do what? Assemble the what? Answers. You will be able to do what? Assemble the answers. And we're going to practice this method using what? The 2006 JAMB English on our computers. That's what we're going to do now. So you're going to pick yourself 2-2-1 computer. Let's do this practice immediately so that we can go forward. Thank you. Yes, welcome. Today we are going to be starting our lectures in oral English. Oral English. Oral English. whenever you talk about oral English, or when we talk about oral English, it simply means spoken English. It simply mean what? Spoken English. The English that you speak with your mouth. It has to do with the way you pronounce the words. The way you do what? Pronounce the words in English language. It's not about the way you write it, but the way you place more importance on the way you do what? You pronounce the English words. Is that clear? I want you to be able to make the right pronunciation. Now, when we talk about oral English, we talk about spoken rather than what? Written English. We place more emphasis on what? The spoken English rather than the written English. It is verbal, it has to do with the movement of your mouth, what comes out of your mouth. It has to do with pronunciation of words. Oral English has to do with what? Pronunciation of words. And we have two basic sounds in English language. We have what? Two basic sounds in English language. Two basic sounds. What are those two sounds we have in English language, class? What are the two of them? Vowels and what? Consonants. They are the two basic speech sounds in English language. Vowels and what? Consonants. Vowels and consonants. Vowels and consonants. Now we're going to start with vowels. The vowel speech sound. We have 20 vowel sounds in English. 12 of them are pure vowels, whereas 8 of them are what? Impure vowels. Is that clear? 12 of them are pure. You can also call them what? Monotones. You can call them what? Monotones or pure vowel sounds. You can also call these 8 that are impure, you can call them diphthongs. Is that clear? In writing, these ones always have one letter, whereas the impure sounds always have 2. Is that clear? Now we come to the vowel sounds. We have vowel number 1, the long E, the long what? E sound, the long E sound, the long E sound. How do you notice a long vowel speech sound? Whenever you have these 2 dots in front, is that clear? Is that clear? You can also have who or what, who, isn't it? This one is what? This one is what? This one is long, whereas this one is what? Short. So how do you know when it's long or short? Whenever you have these 2 dots in front, is that clear? Is that clear? So that's what we have here. Now you see this is E sound, and this is what? E, isn't it? This is E, and this is what? E. Is that clear? This is the E sound, this is the long E sound, this is what? E. And how, where are the, in which words can we see such sounds? For the long E, we can see words like what? Bead, seal, seed, seeds, hill, eagle, field, beef, leaf. Is that clear? How do you know such words where you have the long E sound? How do you know them? You know them whenever you see double E in a word, as you see here, or whenever you see EA in a word. Is that clear? If you look at all these words, you see that most of them either have double E or EA. Double E, EA, 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 IE. This is another place where you see it. EA, double EA. Is that clear? In any word where you see double E or EA or IE, know that this sound is always pronounced as the long E. Is that clear? Is that clear? Now we'll come to the second vowel sound, which is vowel number 2, which is the E sound, the short E. And you can always see it whenever you have the letter I. Is that clear? Whenever you have the letter I, and in some cases it could be confusing. Is that clear? But principally you see it whenever you have I. Example is in B, you're bidding for a contract. B, you're bidding for a what? Contract. That's the word, isn't it? B, kids, children's kids, eat, seat, hip, sheep. You see that most of them have short E sound, isn't it? Why? Because they have the letter I. Why? Because they have the letter what? I. And even we see the letter EA or EE or IE, then we will now regard it to be the long E sound. Is that clear? But for this, we have what? All this. Now, in some cases, like I told you, it could be confusing. Like in words like one T, this is pronounced as one T. Here is the short E sound. women, 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 we. This is E. You see it's O, but it's pronounced as what? E, short E. Women, sit, market, market, market. This is E sound and not air sound, not air sound. Is that clear? Now we come to vowel number 3. Vowel number 3. Vowel number 3, the air sound. The air sound. Vowel number 3 is the what? Air sound. Represented by the alphabet letter what? E. Alphabet letter what? E. But the speech sound is what? The speech sound is what? And it could be seen in words like what? Bed, egg, jet, leg, embrace, extra, get, head. So whenever you want to see some... Yes, welcome. Today we're going to be looking at oral transcription. We are going to be looking at what? Oral transcription. In oral transcription, we'll do what we call, we'll write out the oral form of each word. Is that clear? When you bring out the word, you put it in oral form. That is representing the consonants and the word vowels with their symbols. Is that clear? Representing the consonants and the word vowels with their what? Symbols. Oral transcription means writing a word using the vowel and consonant word letters. You understand? Instead of using the normal English alphabet. This is normal English alphabet, isn't it? Yes. This comb using the normal English alphabet of C-O-M-B. Is that clear? You are now representing it with the speech sound, with the phonetic transcription, the oral transcription. Because we know that in English, the letter C in front of comb is represented by the consonant sound what? Isn't it? Consonant sound. Is that clear? And this O is represented with these two vowel sounds. The very short R and the U. Isn't it? The very short word R and word U. Making it to have the sound word comb, comb. In pronouncing comb in normal oral English, we find out that the B is silent. We find out that the B is what? Silent. And that's why for you to pronounce this, we here in Africa want to pronounce it just like the way they pronounce it in the United States of America or in the UK. Is that clear? We're going to call this what? Comb. Instead of saying comb. Is that clear? Instead of saying comb, say this is what? Comb. Just like when you want to say Boko Haram flew in and bombed. What's the name of that place? Chibok or any other place? Bomb. It's not bomb, isn't it? Bomb. You find out that the B, the last B is also what? Silent. Is that clear? So this is comb and not comb. Is that clear? Comb. So in place of C, this C is having the consonant sound what? Comb. Now we have this one, Christian. We have it what? Christian. This is C. But we know that the consonant sound like this C sounds as what? And that's why we have Christian to be what? Christian. The E sound here is the short E. Is it not? The short E. As against the long E that would have had double dot in front, isn't it? Is that clear? Now we have birds. Birds. This is the very short R sound too. As we can also see in job, isn't it? Job, like job, if you're working your job. It has similar vowel sound, isn't it? So this is the oral transcription of this. This is writing it in normal terms, in normal English words, in normal English letters, isn't it? Using the normal alphabet. But this is using the what? The oral symbols, the vowels and consonant word symbols. Is that clear? So B has the sound B too, but this has the oral representation, isn't it? T has T. Then this is B. This is the oral transcription. The E sound here is the long or short E. Which one? The long E sound. Choral, choral. This is choral, choral. This one is the very short, almost silent R sound, isn't it? And this is the normal L. No. In no, the KN is pronounced as the N. It's pronounced for the N sound, isn't it? No, 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 no. Then we have what? Pressure, pressure. This is sh sound, isn't it? Sh. Pressure. This is almost silent almost silent word. It's very small. You can't hear the sound very well. This is what? Keys. told. You see, one thing consistent with some of these words I wrote here today. Are you noticing it? Can you notice this? Yeah? The very short, almost silent, isn't it? Silent, you know, like when you say doctor. Doc what? Doctor. You understand? So this sound. Exactly. So you have to come with your dictionary. Always check up the oral transcription of all the words. Then we have the word dog too. This similar sound, isn't it? Are we clear on this? So next time you are going to be the person that will be doing the oral transcription for me from the next class. Hopefully you come with your dictionary. You understand? Because once you are learning this, like I told you, when you get your dictionary, after the word, let's say something like France, they want to explain what France is in dictionary. You understand? If you look at the next line, they will put the oral transcription of France inside, isn't it? They will now write the meaning of France. That's how it is written in Oxford dictionaries. Exactly. And if they write another word like advice or advice, you understand? They will also put the oral transcription in the brackets, isn't it? They will explain what advice is and possibly give you synonyms of advice, other words that you can use in place of advice, isn't it? And that's why dictionary is very, very important for this class. Exactly. So make sure when you're coming for the next class, you come with your dictionary so that we can come here. Thank you very much. Yes, welcome. Today we are going to be learning consonant sounds. We are going to be learning what? Consonant sounds. We said that there are two sounds in oral English, isn't it? Two sounds. And those are consonants and what? Vowels. Consonants and what? Vowels. In the previous lectures, we looked at the vowel sounds. Today, we are going to be looking at the what? Consonants. There are 24 consonant sounds in number in total. Exactly. 24 of them. Here we already have 17, isn't it? 24, if you take out 17 from 24, we'll be having how many left? 7. 17, 3, yeah, 7. So we have 7 consonants here. So what are the consonants? Number 1, we have the P sound. We have the word P sound. We have the word P sound. That's the first consonant. Now you can see P sound in words like pin, play, pen, pink, power, happy. So where do we have P sound? P sound in pink. Under the P, isn't it? In power under P, and in happy under what? The V. The second vowel sound we have is the word B. The word B, as in which words? Ball, bat, bed, bird. Hope we know the difference between these two. In the initial, we took vowel sound. This is the S sound, isn't it? Isn't it? This is the S sound. Whereas this one is the what? Is it? The The what? So this is bed, and this is what? Bird. This is what? Bed. The one you use it lying down, isn't it? And this is what? Bird. Bird that does what? Then this is what? Box. Boy. Believe. Now we look at the letter T as in what? Take. 2. 3. Teeth. Is it not? Teeth. Tell. Time. T, we normally confuse it with what? This is sound. Put your tongue in between your teeth and allow air to come out. This one, you put your tongue in between your teeth, but you don't allow air to come out. This is isn't it? This is what? And that's why we got this. Teeth, isn't it? T for this one. Isn't it? Teeth, cell, time. Then the fourth one is the as in what? Mad, dad, one is K, as in kill, take, keep, cat. You see that some C also carry this K, isn't it? Some C carry this K sound, the K sound, K sound, kill, take, key, and what? Cat or cut. The C for cut is also K, isn't it? Now we look at G or K. It's not G. It's represented with the letter G, but the actual consonant sound is what? As in God, goat, gold, dog, glass, ugly. Z as in Z, zeal, blaze, zero, zero, zoo. The F sound of sound, father, very, full, soft, store, fed, feel, further, is it? Further, feather, physics. You understand? So this F sound can come in which combination of letters? PH or what? F. PH or what? F. Now we look at as in what? Van, very, drive, up, vine, and what? View. We look at the sound S. The sound. Sound. Is that clear? The sound as in what? Sad, seat, dress, house, story. Then we look at the sound. Look at the sound what? Mostly when you have double S, isn't it? As in pressure, pleasure, measure, prestige, leisure, vision, treasure, seizure. Then we look at the sound. The sound what? The one that air comes out, isn't it? As in what? Think, thin, athlete, think, death, earth, three, thoughts, teeth, faith. Is it? Then we look at the word. Look at the word what? It's not deep. As in what? The, then, father, this, though, mother. Then we look at the word head, as in how, who, hand, ham, house. Then we look at tears as in chair, chair, church, sheep. Then DS as in what? George. This is George, John, village. And R as in rat, rain, right. Is that clear? Is that clear? Yes, welcome. Today we are going to be looking at emphatic stress. We are going to be looking at what? Emphatic stress. Emphatic stress. Stress by emphasis. Stress by what? Emphasis. So in JAMB examination, you see questions like this. This is the question. Ben's wife is always charming. Ben's wife is always what? Charming. And you have these options. Number one, is John's wife always charming? Is Ben's sister always charming? Is Ben's wife always quarrelsome? Is Ben's wife rarely charming? They want you to pick the right answer. So how do you know an emphatic stress question when you see them? You see, one is always indicated as a stressed word. One of the words in the sentence is always indicated as the word stressed word. And how do they do this indication? By either writing it in capital letter, isn't it? Or maybe underlining or writing it in what? Italics, isn't it? So when you now look at the main question, you check the one that is written in capital letter or the one that is what? Stressed. Exactly. Then you check the options. Whenever you see the one that is stressed, changed, you know that is the answer. So we look at this, we see Ben's wife is always charming. Which of these words is stressed? Which of them? Ben, isn't it? Ben. So in the options, where is Ben changed? You can see that we have what? Ben being changed. Ben here is John. Yeah. So this is where it is changed, isn't it? It's still the same here, Ben. So the answer is what? A. Is that clear? What if in the question we have something like this? Ben's wife is always charming. So which is the stress word in this sentence? Charming, isn't it? So So what will be the answer? Where is charming changed? What? C, isn't it? Because charming is changed to what? Quarrelsome. It's still charming here, it's still charming here, but it's still also still charming here, but here it is what? Quarrelsome. And that's why we say here the student ticks the sentence with the word stress word change. So you have to check all the statements. You see where the stress word is changed. Anywhere you see the stress word change, that is the word, the answer. Is that clear? Is that clear? Yes, welcome. Today we are going to be learning parts of speech. We are going to be learning what? Parts of speech. Speech is what you do when you express your emotions, when you express your feelings. You understand? When you try to communicate to people. Like when I say, come into the class, it's time for learning. I've made a speech. I've made a what? Speech. Communication. You understand? It could be in vocalized way by using your mouth or by writing. Is that clear? So every speech that a human being makes has different parts, has different words. In the past, you could have what we call noun, you can have pronoun, you can have verb, you can have adverb, you can have adjective, you can have preposition. You understand? Those are the different parts of what? Speech. So, example of a speech is when you say, Ada walked slowly to the classroom because her teacher went out for sports. That is a speech, isn't it? Ada walked slowly into the what? Classroom because her teacher went out for what? Sports. So if you look at this speech, you see that it has different parts. Is that clear? Ada here represents a what? Noun. Walked here represents a what? Verb. Slowly here represents a what? Adverb, because it's telling you how the walking was done. Is that clear? So as an English student, you are supposed to know the different parts of what? Speech and their functions in a sentence. Is that clear? And that brings us to what? Parts of speech. So the parts of speech that we have are what? Noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjective, preposition. You understand? All of them are different parts of speech. So number one, we take noun. What is a noun? A noun is the name of a person, animal, thing, places. You understand? Like Ada is what? Is a name of a person, so it's a noun, isn't it? Some nouns, whenever you want to write them, you must start it with capital letter. They call them proper nouns, isn't it? Example of proper noun is name of people, name of a person. Augustine, if you want to write my name, it must start with a what? Capital letter. January, February. Now, what is a pronoun? A pronoun is a word that is used in place of a what? Noun. Example is his. You can say Charles came here to eat Charles's food. Instead of repeating two Charles, you say what? Charles came in here to eat his food. You've used his to replace what? The noun, Charles. So that is what a pronoun is. Examples of pronouns are his, her, their, us, you, them. Now we'll come to the third one, a verb. What is a verb? A verb is an action word. A verb is an what? Action word. The word that tells you how an action is, the word that tells you the action that is being performed. Is that clear? Like in this our speech, we say Ada walked slowly. Ada walked. That is the action, is it not? Ada walking is an action. Dancing is an action, isn't it? Speaking is an action. So any action word is known as what? Verb. It tells us what a noun or pronoun does. Is that clear? In a sentence? Example of a verb is what? Goes, drinks, went. You understand? All those are examples of what? Verb. Adverb is a word that adds meaning to the verb. Adverb is a what? A word that adds meaning to the verb. Like here, you say that Ada walked slowly. You understand? How did Ada walk? Slowly. It's telling us more meaning of the how he did the walking. You can say Ada walked very fast. You understand? So slowly here is what? Adverb. It qualifies a verb. It tells us how a verb does this action. Now we have adjective. Adjective is a word that qualifies or modifies a what? Pronoun or what? Noun. You say, Obi is a good man. You understand? It's telling us the kind of man Obi is. Tolu is an intelligent girl. It's telling us how You understand how intelligent story is? Then we have preposition. Preposition are words that express relationship between what two entities, which may either be nouns or pronouns in the same sentence. You understand? So when you use words like in, through, on, to, you understand? It's giving us the relationship. So that is what we call preposition. Then we also have what we call gerund. Gerunds are nouns in the form of verbs. Is that clear? When you say reading is a pleasure, you know reading should have been what? Verb, because of it's an action. It's an action word, you understand? But when you use it in this way, it is actually a noun. You understand? Reading is a pleasure. When you use it in this way, it is a word, noun. So gerund is actually a noun in the form of a word, verb. It's a form of a verb, but here it's actually a word, noun. Is that clear? So that is the summary of parts of speech. Always know there are plenty parts of speech, and whenever a speech is written, you should be able to identify the different parts. You understand? So quickly, what do we identify this one? Ada as what? Walked as what? Slowly as what? Adverb. Good. You understand? Classroom as what? Now, isn't it? Her as what? Pronoun. Teacher as what? Verb. Teacher as what? Now. Went as what? Verb. You understand? So those are the different parts of speech, and I would like you to identify the remaining parts of what? Speech. Yes, hello, welcome. Today we are going to be learning rhetorical questions. We are going to be learning what? Rhetorical questions. There are some questions that when you ask such questions, you don't expect answers to be given to you. You understand? If I ask you what is your name, you are supposed to answer me, my name is Tolu, is it not? But there are some questions that when somebody asks, the person will not expect an answer because he already knows the answer and everybody already knows the answer. You understand? Such questions are known as rhetorical questions. Such questions are known as what? Rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are questions that are asked which no replies or answers are what? Expected. You understand? When the person that is asking the question asks the question, he doesn't expect you to answer because he expects that both him and you, both of you already knows the answer. You understand? So now we take such examples. Example of such questions are: how long have I lamented? How long have I done what? Lamented. When can somebody ask such question? If you've been complaining since, you understand, and nobody is listening to your complaint, you can say, how long have I lamented? You understand? When you say something like, God, why have you forsaken me? Will God answer you? You just say, God, why have you forsaken me? When can somebody say that? Maybe when you're in trouble. When you're passing through troubles, you understand? You just say, God, why have you forsaken me? God will not answer you. Nobody will answer you. You understand? That is an example of what? Rhetorical question. You can also say, does anyone here dare confront me? You understand? Maybe you are the boss. You say, nobody here can confront me. You already know. So you ask this in the form of a question. You say, does anyone here dare what? Confront me? You can also say something like this. Can anybody doubt my sincerity? When can someone say something like that? Let's say I'm a very sincere person and I know that everybody trusts everything that I say. I can say what? Can anybody doubt my what? Sincerity. What it simply means that nobody can doubt my what? Sincerity. But when I ask such question, I don't expect answer. Is that clear? You can also say something like this. Who knows tomorrow? You know, people normally say that, isn't it? So when somebody comes out and says, who knows tomorrow? The person will not expect you to answer back. But already he expects that you already know that nobody knows tomorrow. You understand? Like when somebody is treating you badly because maybe at the moment you are very poor, the person is treating you badly. You say, who knows tomorrow? Because you think that in future you're going to get more money, is it not? Get more wealth, and the person will not be able to treat you that way. who knows what tomorrow. So questions like this that are asked and no answers or reply expected are known as what? Rhetorical what? Questions. Are known as what? Rhetorical questions. So in subsequent classes we will talk about tag questions. Tag questions. Today we are going to be learning what? Tag questions or question tags. Now, in exams like JAMB and WAEC, you understand? They are going to put a question for you and they will tell you, fill up the blanks. They will tell you to fill up the what? Blanks. You understand? So let's say they put a question like this. He will sing. Then they will put dash. You understand? Then they will give you option A, won't he? Option B, will he? Option C, does he? Option D, can he? You understand? You should be able to pick out the right answer. You should be able to do what? Pick out the right answer. So whenever you have tag questions or question tags, it normally comes in this form. He will sing, dash. Then you have options. Can he? Will he? You understand? They will put a question like this. They are going home. Are they? Aren't they? Will they? You understand? It is your duty to pick out the right word answer. Is that clear? And in order for you to pick out the right answer, you are supposed to know these basic 1, 2, 3, 4 rules. You understand? It's up to 5, but for now I'm giving you the basic 4 rules. Is that clear? So the basic things one should know about tag questions are: number 1, affirmative statement attracts negative word tags. Affirmative statement attracts negative word tag. Let's say example of an affirmative statement is Shola is here. Is that clear? The answer should be isn't he? Isn't. Isn't simply stands for is not he, is it not? So this one is negative, not. You understand? Negative. But the statement is what? Positive or affirmative. You understand? Every affirmative statement must attract what? Negative tag. So if you have Shola is here and you have is he, can the answer be is he? The answer cannot be is he. The answer should be what? Isn't he? You understand? Because the statement here is affirmative. Shola is here. So the answer should be what? Isn't he and not is he. Is that clear? Now, let's say we have he will sing. This is an affirmative. He's confirming that Adobe will sing or Austin will sing. It's affirmative. So the answer, to fill up the blank, you should have what? Won't he? Won't he? This is negative, isn't it? Won't he? So we have he will sing. You'll be looking at the verb. That's why you should have what? Won't he? Now you have they are going home. So what should be the answer? Aren't they? It's negative, you understand? Because the first one is what? Positive. But now, rule number 2 says negative statement attracts what? Affirmative or what? Positive tag. So let's take an instance of a negative statement. We say Shola is not here. This is negative. Huh? So the answer should be what? Is he? Positive. I hope you understand. Now you have the boat hasn't left. The boat hasn't left. So the answer should be what? Has it? Has it? You understand? This should be positive. Positive question tag. Is that clear? Now another instance is that the choice of tense of the operator auxiliary are determined by the word verbal phrase in the main clause or sentence. Is that clear? Example is when you have something like this. John jumps over the fence. Can you see the verb? Jumps. That means that's what he normally does all the time. John jumps over the fence. The question tag will be what? Doesn't he? This is what? Affirmative, and this is what? Negative. But you should look at the what? Verb. Unlike here where we have he jumped over the fence. The answer should be what? Didn't he? This one is doesn't he, but this one is what? Didn't he? Why is this one doesn't he and this one didn't he? This one is doesn't he because we have jumps. And this one is didn't he because we have jumped. This is past tense. So what is here should also be what? Past tense. This is present tense, jumps. And what is here should always be what? Present tense. Is that clear? Now finally we have that other verbs, example, main or lexical verbs, have in the tag question words like what? Do, does, or what? Did in their tag. Example is what? They drink the wine. So the answer should be what? Don't they? They drink the wine. They is plural. Drink is plural. Verb, plural verb. So the answer should come in form of what? Don't they? They drink the wine is also what? Affirmative. So the answer should come in what? Negative. Don't they? Is that clear? Then lastly we have you don't care for me. Do you? You see, ba? You don't care for me. Do you? Is that clear? So you have to take note of all these things so that whenever you're given a tag question, you should know what the answer should be. You should know what the answer should be. Whenever it's positive, the answer should be what? So let me ask this question. Eze goes to school. What should be the tag question? Eze goes to school. Doesn't he? Eze goes to school is an affirmative. You understand? Goes with what? Another. The answer should come in form of what? Doesn't he? What if I say Eze went to school? Didn't he? You understand? Eze goes to school. Doesn't he? Eze went to school. Didn't he? Is that clear? Thank you. Yes, we are going to look at phrases, clauses, and sentences. We are going to look at what? Phrases, clauses, and sentences. Or phrase, clause, and what? Sentence. These three are very similar. They are very what? One makes a complete sense. You understand? One is very short, and one does not make a complete sense. Is that clear? The phrase does not make a complete sense. Clause makes sense, but it's short. Sentence makes a complete sense and it's not short. It's just normal. Is that clear? So a phrase is a group of words. Group of what? Once you bring some words together, but they don't make sense, it's a phrase. You understand? A phrase is a group of words that does not contain a subject nor a what? Predicate. It does not have a finite what? Verb, and cannot make a complete what? Sense. You understand? Why is it that phrases don't make complete sense? Because they don't have finite what? Verb. They don't have what? They don't have finite verb. It forms part of a sentence. They can be used as part of a sentence. You understand? But on their own, they don't make complete sense. But when they are used as part of a sentence, then you understand their meaning. Exactly. So example is when you say the man. You understand? Example is when you say what? Example is when you say what? The man. You understand? The man. When you say the man, everybody, it doesn't make a complete sense. But at least you can feel something about it. You understand? But it doesn't make a complete. The man. Is my uncle. When you say it's my uncle, you understand? You're saying something, but it's not yet complete. You understand? When you say in the room, you understand? Everybody knows you are talking about the room. But does it make a complete sense? No. Who sleeps? You're saying something, but it doesn't make a complete sense. But when you now say the man who sleeps in the room is my uncle, that is a complete sentence. You understand? And it's making sense. But this phrase is the man is my uncle in the room who sleeps. All these things are phrases. They don't make complete sense. You understand? Because they don't have what? They don't have finite verb. Now we'll talk about a clause. A clause is a group of words that forms a what? Sentence. It can therefore be regarded as a what? Sentence, because it has a subject and a what? Predicate. It contains a what? Final verb. You see, very, very important. Final verb. Once something has a final verb, it can be making sense. Example, I regretted my action. What's the final verb here? Regretted. That's why it's making sense. It's a complete sense. When you say I regretted my action, everybody understands this. This is the boy. You understand? That's a complete sense. They met him. This is the boy. They met him. Where he robbed. All these are what? Clauses. That I attended the party. You understand? All these things, they make sense. You understand? They are what? They are very short, but they still make sense. When you say they met him, it's like you're answering somebody. They met him. Yes, they met him. You understand? It's very short, but it's making sense. Now, a simple sentence is the same thing as a what? As a main clause. When we say main clause, we mean things like I regretted my action is a main clause. This is the boy is a main clause. They met him is a main clause. Where he robbed. You understand? But when you say something like that, I attended the party, it's a subordinate clause. It's not a main clause. You understand? But it's still making sense. But simple sentences are the same thing as what? Main clause. This can be called a sentence. I regretted my action. Is that clear? Yes. All the features of clause. It has what? All the features of a word clause. A simple sentence has the features of all the clause. We can join clauses or simple sentences using using what? Conjunctions like what? And, but, or. To form what? A compound sentence. So whenever you use and, or, but, like, but, you understand? You form a what we call what? Compound sentence. When you use things like because, you form what we call complex word sentence. Example, when you say the boy kicked the ball, that's a sentence, is it not? And the boy began to cry. Two sentences brought together by and. You form a what? Compound sentence. Now you look at the second one. The boy kicked the ball because the boy began to cry. You are bringing two sentences. The boy kicked the ball and the boy began to cry. Using what? Because. So you're forming what? A complex sentence. You understand? When you use and, you form a compound. But when you use because, neither, or other words, you form a what? Complex sentence. Is that clear? So in subsequent classes, we are going to look at different parts of a sentence. Thank you. Yes. We said that a sentence is made up of what? Made up of clauses, is it not? I would say that clause is a group of words, is it not? That has a finite verb. It has a subject and a word predicate, and it makes sense, isn't it? So now we're going to look at the components of a sentence. What are the things that come together to make up a sentence? They have a sentence has like up to 5 components, isn't it? Yes. Number 1 is what? Subject. Number 2 is what? Verb. Number 3 is what? Object. Number 4 is what? Complement. And number 5 is what? Adverb. You understand? So when these things come together, they make up a what? Sentence. They are the components of a sentence. Exactly. But all of them mustn't come up together. You understand? There are 2 things that are very, very important in a sentence. For you to say that this is a sentence, it makes a complete sense. It's not a phrase. You know also that phrases are a group of words, is it not? But they don't make complete sense. Unlike clause or what? Sentence, they make complete sense. So what are the 2 components that must come together in order to make a sentence that makes sense? Subject. Only what? Subject and what? Verb. Very, very important. You understand? You mustn't need all the 5 to make a sentence. The most important ones are the what? Subjects and the what? Verbs. Is that clear? Example is what we have here. The boy is the subject. Kicked is what? Verb. Because it's an action word. It's showing you what he did. He kicked. You understand? The ball. That's the what? Object. Is that clear? The boy is the subject. Kicked is the verb. The ball is what? Object. So you have subject, verb, what? Object. SVO, subject, verb, object. The boy kicked the ball. Is that clear? Here, what do we have? The woman killed her child. It's still the same thing. The subject is what? The woman. The verb is what? Killed. The object is what? Our child. The subject, verb, object, SVO. Here we have the boy is sleeping. You understand? The boy is what? Subject. The boy is what? Subject. Verb is what? Is sleeping. So you have only subject and what? Verb. Only what? Subject and what? Verb. Making a sentence. Is that clear? Here you have the lady slept in the garden. Where did the lady sleep? In the garden. So that's the adverb. It's telling us where. Adverb are what? Past of speech that tells us where, when. You understand? How. Something was done. So the lady slept in the garden. So the lady here is the word? Subject. Slept is the word? Verb. In the garden is the word? Adverb. Here we have the gentle. Yes, welcome. Today we are going to be doing letter writing and essay writing. We are going to be doing what? Letter and what? Essay writing. What is a letter? What is letter writing? Letter writing is a form of communication between two people. You understand? That are separated by what? Distance. Because you cannot see himself physically. If you can see him, you will talk to him. If you can see him, you do what? You make a speech to the person, you will understand. You can communicate, isn't it? But if the person is far, you need to write a letter, is it not? Send either through the post office or through the email. Or you give somebody to give to him. Is that clear? That is letter writing. You understand? You communicate with somebody that you have distance separating between you and him. Is that clear? So letter writing is a form of writing communication between two people who are separated by what? Distance. Depending on the relationship between the communicators, if you want to write a letter to your friend, what kind of letter is that? Informal. What kind of letter is that? If you're writing to the governor of the state, the governor of Abia State or Kano, what kind of letter is that? Formal letter. You understand? So whenever you're writing, you need to know who you're writing to, because that will affect the way you're saluting, your salutation. If you're writing to the Oba of Benin, you have to say His Royal Highness, is it not? If you're writing to your friend, will you say His Royal Highness? No. You understand? So you need to know the person you're communicating to, you're communicating with. You understand? So that you know the way to address the person. So depending on the relationship between the communicators, friends, person to the governor of the state, etc., the mode of address changes, and the letter writing can be divided into what? 3 categories. Because of the mode, the way you address the person. You understand? So you can have what we call formal letter, the one you write to your friends, is it not? Semi-formal, like the one you write to your headmaster in class. You understand? I mean, formal letter, the one you write to the governor, is it not? Semi-formal, the one you write to your headmaster in class, is it not? Informal, the one you write to your friend, your brother, or relative. Is that clear? So all these changes, you understand? So when you're writing a formal letter, you should know how to put the address. There's one letter that has 2 addresses, is it not? What kind of letter is that? You understand? So you take cognizance of that. Features of a good letter, features of a what? How do you know that your letter is good? So that once you write it in WAEC, you will get very high score. How? How? Number 1 is what we call organization. You must organize your letter very well. You understand? When you're writing to your, maybe your mother now, you can say, first paragraph, you can use it to ask about how you're doing, is it not? Then you start telling him how the problem, is it not? Then the other one, you start talking other things and thanking him. You understand? So the organization must be there. Then under this organization, you must have something like, you must consider the address. The way you address when you're writing to your parents and the way you address when you're writing to the governor, are they the same thing? Salutation, His Royal Highness. Or concluding part, when you say yours faithfully. When you're writing a formal letter, you must say yours faithfully or yours sincerely, is it not? But if you're writing informal, you can be using anything you want. Title, paragraph, you understand? Make sure you take care of these things. All these things are classified under what? Organization, and they have how many marks? 10 marks in your essay, in your letter writing in WAEC or GC or NECO. Is that clear? 10 marks. Number 2 is the content. If they tell you to write about healthcare and you're writing about education, will you make any point? Make sure you know what they are telling you to write about. Is that clear? Make sure you know what the letter is all about so that you make the right point. Topic area. This can also be used for essay. If you're told to write essay about education and you go and you start writing about politics, will you get points? So take note of that. And it has 10 marks. Expression has 20 marks. Knowing the right terminologies. When you're talking about medical field, you'll be talking about viruses, diagnosis. You need to be using those terms so that when they hear it, they say, yeah, this guy knows much about health. If you're talking about law, you'll be using things like affidavit. You understand? Evidence. When you're talking to somebody, yeah, this person knows much about the law code. Judges, magistrates. Is that not clear? Now, another thing about expression is you need to use idioms and figures of speech. If you're writing your essay or your letter and you're using idioms, proverbs, figures of speech, you'll be getting high score. You'll be getting high what? Other than using just simple English. You understand? Use idiomatic expression. You know what idiomatic expressions are? Figures of speech, simile, personification. You understand? When you use it much in your essay or in your letter writing, you get high score. And that's why expression contains how many marks? Now, mechanical accuracy. You need to know when to put full stop, when to put comma. Is that not true? When to use present tense and when to use what? Past tense. Use of what? Know the right words to use. That is what? Mechanical what? Accuracy. Mechanical what? Your punctuations have to be there. You understand? When you're supposed to start a word with capital letter, you know after full stop, the next word starts with capital letter. You need to put it. If you don't, you will not be getting the marks on mechanical accuracy, which is how many marks? Is that clear? Are we together? Are we together? So having learned this, we are quickly going to look at, hey, you've not written back. Sorry, please write it down, Or you've written some back. The place I've cleaned, you've written them already back. Good. So I wanted to, listen first, I'm not going to clean again. I wanted to look at the various types of letters that we have. And we say we have what? Informal, semi-formal, and what? Formal. Those are the three types, is it not? Informal is when I'm writing to my girlfriend, or my wife, or my child, or my friend. Is that not informal? What is semi-formal? You're writing to somebody you're closer to, you understand? But not very close to, you understand? What is formal? When you're writing to somebody you're not even close to, official letter, official person. You understand? You're writing to the VC of the school. Is that clear? You should know how to arrange your addresses, is it not? Then when you're closing, the closing salutation, you should know. The kind of words that you use, informal words that you would have used when you're writing to your friend, you cannot use it for your teacher. And you cannot use it for the governor of the state. You understand? So those are the things that differentiate these three forms of what? Letter. Then I'm giving you an assignment. You're going to write 3 letters now and submit to me 3 letters. I'm going to give you a paper to write them. One is an informal letter. You're writing to him. He's writing to you. Is that clear? One is a semi-formal letter, write to me. And another one, you're addressing the FCT minister, telling him what and what you want to happen in FCT. Are those clear? Immediately after this class, come and take your papers and write your letters. Is that clear? Yes, today we're going to be looking at summary. We're going to be looking at what? Summary. When you're writing SSC, GC, and WAEC, in the theoretical session, they normally ask you to do summary. Summary. They give you a passage, and they will tell you to summarize. Understand? Out of the whole passage, you might be required to do like 6 lines, sentences to summarize the passage. You understand? So what is a summary? A summary is a concise, brief account of a passage. You understand? You give a very brief account. You go straight to the point. You understand? If the passage is telling you about how corruption is rampant in Nigeria, they are going to tell you the different causes of corruption, the regime when corruption came to Nigeria, the things that can be done to stop corruption. You understand? So if you are told to summarize such a passage, you go straight to the point. You can tell us that this is when some corruption started. These are the things that are called corruption. These are the ways that corruption can be checked. You understand? In definite sentences. You mustn't go and give the whole passage the way it was given to you. You understand? You read the passage, understand them, understand the passage, and using your own words, summarize. Is that clear? That is what a summary is. So we say that summary is a concise, brief, clear, and what? Understandable version of a longer what? Passage. A long passage. You want to summarize a passage of up to 500 words. You're using only 6 sentences to summarize. To just tell us the point. Is that clear? With minimum number of what? Words used. You're going to use minimum number of words. In simple sentences, you summarize. So what are the qualities of a good summary? Number one, a good summary answer should be brief and concise. Leave out examples and what? Illustrations, and express the main ideas. Only the main ideas, that is, those are the only things required in a summary. The main ideas, you understand the points. Don't start giving examples that corruption was done in so and so year. This is how it was done. No. You don't need those details. Just be specific with the main words, ideas. Every summary must be clear, readable, and understandable. It has to be clear, in clear terms. From the passage, what causes corruption is, you understand? Maybe lack of proper education, low wages. You understand? Stuff like that. You be specific. Avoid writing irrelevancies in your what answer. Don't go and start talking things that are not required. Consistency of summary ideas with the author's what? Ideas. If you are given a passage to summarize, you don't go and put in your summary what you think is the cause of corruption. Whereas in the passage, the causes of corruption are already listed. You understand? Give the one that is already in the passage, not the one you think. You understand? You might be thinking, hey, one of the things that cause corruption is that Igbo people like money too much. Go and write it there. Once you write it there, you will fail. You understand? You need to write what is already in the passage that you've read. You understand? Pick out your points from the passage and answer. Should be according to the demand of the question. It's similar to the one I just explained. You understand? So you look at if the question person asking the question is asking you what in 5 sentences, what are the causes of corruption? You understand? There's no need telling him when the corruption started. You be specific with the points according to the question. Should not copy the exact words used in the passage. You understand? You should not use exactly his words, the words of the passage. You can use it in your own word, but make sure that they mean the same thing. Is that clear? Avoid writing sentences containing grammatical and what? Spelling errors. So when you're writing your summary, you use sentences that have no grammatical errors or spelling errors. You understand? You have to be careful with what you write. So I'm going to give you a passage that you will read and summarize. Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be looking at oral English.
My guy,
What is oral English?
my guy.
English has to do with pronunciation of words. Pronunciation of words. How do you pronounce words? When you want to pronounce the word bed, you have people lie down on to sleep, bed. And you want to pronounce the other word, bird. The bird that flies. You have to know how to do the two pronunciations so that when somebody listens to you, the person will understand what you're talking about. Some people, if they want to call bird, they call it bed. The bird is flying. The bird flies. So the one that flies is bird, and the one that you lie on is bed. So you need to know how to identify these speech sounds. So today we're going to be looking at oral English, and in oral English we'll have 2 classes. We'll have the vowel sounds and we'll have the consonant sounds. In the consonants, when you want to call the word or when you want to pronounce the word physics, that we'll learn in school, physics. It sounds as if it starts with F, but it's actually PH. So you need to identify all these, and that is what we're going to be learning in oral English. So we say that oral English deals with pronunciation of words, phonetic transcription of words. The basic sounds in English language are vowels and consonants. They come from the alphabets. So whenever you see the alphabet, letter E, it is always pronounced as a, bed. But when you see the alphabet IR, it is normally pronounced as bird. So the two pronunciation, some people pronounce them the same, but it's actually, this one is bed, this one is bird. Now we are going into one of the speech sounds. I said that we have vowels and consonants. Now let's look at vowels. There are 20 vowel sounds, 20 vowel sounds. Some of them are known as pure vowel sound because they normally contain one vowel sound, or one, they are made up of one part. Like the E, the long E for bead, beef, leave, the short E sound, ick, dig, big. The A sound as in bed, here we have beg, bed, and the sound, here we have bird. Now all these are single, that's why we call them pure vowel sounds or monotones. But here we have also 8 impure vowel sounds or diphthongs. You have combination, you have A and E. So for these we have words like day, make, this is A, make, rate, this is O, as in go, form, blow, no, and this is oi, as in boy, toy. So basically we have 12 pure vowel sounds and we have 8 impure vowel sounds. The pure vowel sounds are known as monotones and the impure vowel sounds are known as diphthongs because they are made consisting of 2. You can see this is A and this is E. You can see this is up and this is E. Oi, A, O, as in go, form, blow. Whereas these ones are single. E, this is long. Whenever you see 2 dotted lines, simply means long form of the E sound. E, this is E. So this is represented by alphabets EA. Bead is long. Bead, you can't call this bead. You call it bead. But if it is just I, you can have something like big, B-I-D. So here you have big, big. But here you have bead, beef, leave, beg, bed. This one is bird, girl. Some people, when they want to say this girl, they say this girl. My birthday, bird. So those are how you can do the pronunciations. So in subsequent classes, we are going to be taking all the 12 monotones, the 12 pure vowel sounds, starting from E, and the rest of them. There are many of them. They are up to 12. Here I gave example with just 1, 2, 3, 4. But in subsequent classes, we are going to be giving all of them. The 8 impure vowel sounds, A, I, and other ones, we are going to give all the examples. So if you pay attention, you're going to understand how these things work. So we are going to be walking around with oral sounds. Oral English is very interesting. Please, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't been subscribed to this lecture or any other video that thank you for your subscriptions and support. Thank you. God bless. Yes, welcome. Today we are going to be starting our lectures in oral English. Oral English. Whenever you talk about oral English, or when we talk about oral English, it simply means spoken English. We simply mean what? Spoken English. The English that you speak with your mouth. It has to do with the way you pronounce the words. The way you do what? Pronounce the words in English language. It's not about the way you write it, but the way you place more importance on the way you do what? You pronounce the English words. Is that clear? I want you to be able to make the right pronunciation. Now, when we talk about oral English, we talk about spoken rather than what? Written English. We place more emphasis on what? The spoken English rather than the written English. It is verbal, it has to do with the movement of your mouth, what comes out of your mouth. It has to do with pronunciation of words. Oral English has to do with what? Pronunciation of words. And we have 2 basic sounds in English language. We have what? two basic sounds in English language. Two basic sounds. What are those two sounds we have in English language, class? What are the two of them? Vowels and what? Consonants. They are the two basic speech sounds in English language. Vowels and what? Consonants. Vowels and consonants. Vowels and consonants. Now we're going to start with vowels. The vowel speech sound. We have 20 vowel sounds in English. 12 of them are pure vowels, whereas 8 of them are what? Impure vowels. Is that clear? 12 of them are pure. You can also call them what? Monotones. You can call them what? Monotones or pure vowel sounds. You can also call these 8 that are impure, you can call them diphthongs. Is that clear? In writing, these ones always have one letter, whereas the impure sounds always have 2. Is that clear? Now we come to the vowel sounds. We have vowel number 1, the long E, the long what? E sound, the long E sound, the long E sound. How do you notice a long vowel speech sound? Whenever you have these 2 dots in front, is that clear? Is that clear? You can also have who or what, who, isn't it? This one is what? This one is what? This one is long, whereas this one is what? Short. So how do you know when it's long or short? Whenever you have these 2 dots in front, is that clear? Is that clear? So that's what we have here. Now you see this is E sound, and this is what? E, isn't it? This is E, and this is what? E. Is that clear? This is the E sound. This is the long E sound. This is what? E. And how? Where are the? In which words can we see such sounds? For the long E, we can see words like what? Bead, seal, seed, seat, heel, eagle, field, beef, leaf. Is that clear? How do you know such words where you have the long E sound? How do you know them? You know them whenever you see double E in a word, as you see here, or whenever you see EA in a word. Is that clear? If you look at all these words, you see that most of them either have double E or EA. Double E, EA, EA, EA. This is another place where you see EA, EA. In any word where you see double E or EA or IE, know that this sound is always pronounced as the long E. Is that clear? Now we come to the second vowel sound, which is vowel number 2. It is the E sound, short E. And you can always see whenever you have the letter I. Is that clear? Whenever you have the letter I, and in some cases,
you don't have any right.
But principally, you see it whenever you have I. The example is in B. You're bidding for a contract. B. You're bidding for a what? Contract. That's the word, isn't it? B. Kids. Children's kids. Eat. Seed. Sheep. You see that most of them have short E sound, isn't it? Why? Because they have the letter I. Why? Because they have the letter what? I. And if we see the letter E or EE or IE, then we will now regard it to be the long E sound. Is that clear? But for this, we have what? All this. Now, in some cases, like I told you, it will be confusing. Like in words like one T. This is pronounced as one T. Here is the short E sound. Women. We. This is E. You see it's O. But it's pronounced as what? E, short E. Women. Sit.